Hey everybody, it's GombletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing another premiere draft of the Ravnica Mixer Draft format. It's one pack of each of the most recent Ravnica sets. With that out of the way, let's hop into this draft. So we have Assassin's Trophy as our rare, an excellent removal spell, although it is gold, so it ties us into two colors. That destroys any permanent, so it can kill planeswalkers and stuff, which is important in this format, but it does give them a basic land back, and it's also a gold card, so over that, I'm actually going to take Circuitous Route here, which might be a little bit of a weird pick, but I do think that having a lot of mana fixing and just a lot of gates in general can be quite a powerful strategy in this format. The more colors you're open to running, the more various bombs you can pick up in the later packs, and the later the packs get, the stronger the rares get. The first pack, Guilds of Ravnica, has some decent rares like Beast Whisper in it. Ravnica Allegiance, I think in general, ups the powerful level a tiny bit, but then War of the Spark is where you have some absurd bombs, like all of the planeswalkers in that set, so just being able to splash things pretty easily is quite nice, and Circuitous Route does that really, really well, grabbing any two gate cards from your library, putting them into play tapped, so I do really, really like that card, so I'll even take it over the solid removal like Assassin's Trophy there. And then this pack, since we are in green so far, I'm pretty easy to just take this Beast Whisperer. If we get this on the board and it doesn't immediately get killed, this can draw quite a few cards over time, so quite a good value engine there, so I'll be taking a Beast Whisperer. Pack 2. Alright, and we can go for it here. This time we're going to be going for the 5-color Gates deck, but going for it from the start instead of what I did a couple drafts ago where we just ended up being multiple colors at the end. So this will be an interesting draft. Here we have Gatekeeper Gargoyle. 6 mana is quite a lot of mana, but it is going to spell out a very large flyer depending on how many gates you have. A 3/3 flyer at minimum, and getting a +1/+1 counter for each gate you control. So Gatekeeper Gargoyle going to be my pick out of this pack, and now we're just going to start slamming down some gates very highly when we have Circuitous Route as well as the Gatekeeper Gargoyle itself. So some powerful Selesnya cards here: the Rosemane Centaur, the Ladev Champion, Healer's Hawk, good if we're aggressive. We're definitely not that. We could take just the strongest card in this pack, which is probably the Champion. It's a really good mana sink, being able to spit out some life-linking soldier tokens, even if you're just trump blocking. The fact that they gain you some life gives you a lot of time. Obviously, if you're on the aggressive, it's excellent. But we could also take the Guildgate here. Just make sure we have a million of those. I'm going to go ahead and take the Ladev Champion here. The fact that that Guildgate is blue and red, so it's like, if it were a green Guildgate at all, if it were Golgari or Selesnya, I would slam it down. But the fact that it's completely off color currently makes it definitely less exciting for me. So now we have Glaive of the Guild Pact, although this is one of my least favorite gate payoff cards. I like the cards that do a lot by themselves, that just have a large individual impact. This, you need to play this card as well as another creature, but it can still be quite the big buff, plus a bunch of power, vigilance, and menace. So I think I'll still take it here just for flavor. I don't know if it's the best pick, though. Maybe something like Urban Utopia or the Guildgate itself could be better here. Not a massive fan of Glaive of the Guild Pact, but it does make sense here. You know what? I might be more interested in just the Boros Guildgate. You know, I'm just going to take a Boros Guildgate. I'm just really not that pumped about the Glaive. Alright, this is a really easy Selesnya Guildgate. Any Guildgate with green in it is going to be a super high pick, and the only other cards for us are pretty filler, pretty mediocre. A little 2/2 with a marginal enter the battlefield effect. A little 1/4. Little combat trick. Not much going on here. Alright, Flower and Flourish is a card I'd be a pretty big fan of here. If we have green or white mana, we can use that mana to grab a Forest or Plains from our deck, and this is also potentially a finisher for that 6 mana. Siege Worm's a way to close out a game, big old Trampler, but hopefully we just pick up a bunch of bomb kind of planeswalkers later on. We have Golgari Guildgate, which is a green Guildgate, and we have Luminous Bonds, which is removal in white. I'm just going to keep slamming Guildgates. Alright, and now there's no Guildgate in this pack, so we'll take the best non-gate card, which might just be Ironshell Beetle. A little 2-mana 2/2 for us. Green is definitely going to be the core of our deck. Everything else will be somewhat of a splash here. Yeah, just a 2/2 on turn 2 to get out there, block some stuff. Don't love the lockets, but they would be fine. Preferably we can just get enough guild gates to not need too many lockets. Take the Iron Shell Beetle here. Alright, now we can take a pretty decent Selesnya card or a good little blue removal spell here, Capture Sphere. I don't love Garrison Sergeant either. We already have 3 gates though, so this is just going to be a 5-mana 3/3 double strike. Is that a better deal than the 2/3 flying Vigilance Mentor? Maybe, but I do want to have some flying. I guess we do have Gatekeeper Gargoyle already. You know what, I'm on it. Let's try out a Garrison Sergeant. See how well that card plays. And not much going on in this pack for pretty much anybody, so I'll just take a Boros Locket. Alright, again, not much going on here. Taking another giant flyer to close out some games. Could actually use Grappling Sundew here. This is the kind of card that just gets out and blocks pretty well, so just stalls the game a bit while we set up all our comes into play tapped lands, because the start of the game for us is going to be quite slow. We're the kind of deck that just tries to stabilize and then hit them with the really big plays late game, cards like Garrison Sergeant, Gatekeeper Gargoyle, and the more powerful gate payoff bombs that we could get in Ravnica Allegiance, like Gate Colossus, Gates Ablaze, Gate Breaker Ram. Those are all huge. We could actually play Portcullis Vine. I like this card a decent bit. Just gets out there, blocks a little bit in the early game, and then you can just cycle it away to draw another card. So pretty solid there. So what do we have in pack 2? We do have the Orzhov Guild Gate, of course. There is a Guild Gate in every pack of Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica Allegiance. I don't remember if there is in War of the Spark, but there are a lot of gates there too, at least gateway plazas. Mortify, kind of hard to cast for us, but excellent removal. It's honestly kind of it. That kind of just looks like the best card in this pack, period. It's really just like a Guild Gate or a Mortify, and Mortify is pretty hard for us to cast, but I am trying to get into all 5 colors, so it will be castable at some point. Not a crazy pack here. No like off-color rare that's like super good. Just grab a Mortify, I guess. Alright, ooh, Tithe Taker. Oh, that's not the one I thought it was. There's a Hero of the Guild List or something like that. There's a 2/2 that spits out a 1/1 every time you cast a multicolored spell. This is not that. This is just fine. A 2/1 that when it dies brings a 1/1 flyer out. Fine little card there. We have a Gruul Guild Gate. We have a Clear the Mind if we want to be able to do Clear the Mind control, where we have just a bunch of removal spells, a board wipe or 2, and then keep shuffling our deck back in. Can be a fun deck to try out, and it can work well in the 5-color build. Might draft a little weird here. This is almost definitely not the right pick in Mixer Draft, because you really need 2 Clear the Mind to go off, and we just cannot guarantee that with only 1 pack of Allegiance. Yeah, no, I'll take the Gruul Guild Gate over that. What do we have here? No Gates payoff cards in this pack yet, and this is where the Gates payoffs really are. So the 2 things you really want for your 5-color heavy Gates decks are either a lot of Gate payoffs in pack 2 or just a lot of bombs in pack 3 in any color. So I guess we just start taking some pretty standard picks here for just like green-white, because that's the core of our deck. So just like a Territorial Boar, fill things out at 2 mana. Some more early game creatures. Angelic Exaltation's fine, but best with a bunch of tokens and a lot of creatures. Don't really have that going on. I think Boar is the best creature for us here, outside of maybe Rendhorn, but we already have 2 5-drops, some 6-drops, more big creatures than small creatures. Could take Guildgate or Get the Point if I want to stay super multicolored, but those aren't that awesome, so I'll just take something pretty safe there, pretty basic. So Mirror March is not good, but it's fun. You flip a lot of coins whenever you play a creature. You flip a coin until you hit tails. For every time you win the flip, you get a copy of that creature that you played that gets exiled at the end step. So it's a really dumb card that is not good in draft, but it could be fun to play around with. You know what? Cerulean Caretaker actually seems kind of sweet for what we're doing here. Just like green and X, where our green mana can help us get our other colors of mana. It's also Defender, so it's another card we can sacrifice to the Vine. Just take a Caretaker here. I'm going to really just go hard on mono, or not mono green, but green core, a little bit of everything else. Make our mana base pretty easy if we can, like 10 green sources and then a little bit of all the other sources. This pack's not great. Could play around with a Syndicate Guild Mage, but it'll only taps big creatures, or it sits there slowly killing your opponent. I'll just take the nice rare dual land here. Help us with our Mortify. Well, there's a Clear the Mind, so I guess we could take this Clear the Mind and try to wheel the first one. Like, what's the other option here? Just like a Pitiless Pontiff that's a little hard to cast for us, or a Growth Spiral that's a little hard to cast. Grab the Clear the Mind. Alright, well. Now I'm interested in potentially moving into the Clear the Mind thing. And if we do that, then we want to just take every removal spell we see from this point on, especially ones that could 2-for-1 our opponent, get rid of 2 of their cards at the cost of 1 of ours. But cool to see the Clear the Mind's open. We might even get a third option, a third Clear the Mind here. So we are certainly going for some alternative strategies this draft. It's not going to be our third Golgari deck here. It's going to be something different. I don't know if we're going to be 5 colors because we just haven't seen great reasons to be in like black. You know, like we've been taking the powerful gold cards when they're around. They just kind of aren't here. Aramunculus, probably the strongest card in this pack. A 2/3 flyer for 3 that turns into a 3/4 flyer if you adapt it. Guildmage might be moderately stronger for the ability to repeatedly make your opponent discard, but it's slower. Yeah, I'll just take the Aramunculus here. It seems fine to me. We're getting to a point where we can just try to take literally the best card in every pack, regardless of color. We do have to consider what our deck is doing here, though. So, like, Hackerbat, while it is the best card in the pack, isn't really what we are doing. But nothing in here really is. Nothing in here is just like a good removal spell. So we might as well still take the Hackerbat, I guess. Alright, third Clear the Mind. Nothing else in here is really playable. Although I am not sure we're doing the Clear the Mind thing. So Sphinx's Insight would be helpful for the Clear the Mind thing, but we are very low on blue mana here. We don't have any blue Guild Gates. And this is our last pack to take Guild Gates. I'm just going to take a Rakdos Guild Gate. Our last pack to take a lot of Guild Gates. There's only a few in War of the Spark, as far as I remember. Probably not playing any of that. Or that. Okay, so really hoping for just solid Planeswalkers. Doesn't matter what the colors are, just solid bombs in this pack. Let's see what we got. We have Ob Nixilis here. I don't love Ob Nixilis, if I'm being honest. 5 mana for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker. It can destroy a creature for -2, so it can do that twice, but the fact that your opponent draws 2 cards for every creature you kill means they draw into replacements pretty quickly, so not the strongest Planeswalker ever. You can destroy your own Planeswalkers, or destroy your own creatures if you have some expendable stuff to just draw some cards, which is fun. What does Arkbow do? Discard a card, look at the top X, put a creature with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield, put the rest on the bottom. That's kind of bomby if we have enough creatures. We have 14 creatures, so now we just discard any lands that we flood into to draw more creatures instead. I think I'm going to go with Vivien's Arkbow over Ob Nixilis, to be honest. Ob Nixilis just not the strongest Planeswalker ever. What are the best cards here? Plume-Hulk's good if we do end up with Planeswalkers, but people might be taking them quite highly. Band Together is good for removal in our main color, which is green. Chandra's Triumph is just good removal, period. Pyrohelix, it's a little bit worse than Triumph in my opinion. It's more often that there's going to be a 3 toughness creature than there are going to be 2 1 toughness creatures. So, Spark Reaper's fine too. Yeah, I'll go Chandra's Triumph. That seems solid to me. Oh, strongest card. Guild Globe's good for what we're doing. Epiphany is just a great draw spell. The Leyline Prowler's nice. I enjoy all of those cards a decent amount. I'm going to run with Guild Globe. Just get the easiest mana base in the world here. Now a Death Sprout, super easy pick. Destroy a creature and grab a land out of your deck. Excellent removal spell. Little hard to cast being double black, but our mana is looking really good at this point. We have Circuitous Root, Guild Globe, 6 Guild Gates, a Cerulean Caretaker. There's a lot of good stuff there. Okay. This does not damage a creature, does it? No, it's just a Lava Axe, just 5 to your opponent's face. Don't really like anything in this pack. Yeah, no, I don't like any of these cards, even if we were any of these colors. Like, if we were red, we would be fine with Tybalt's Rager. That's solid, but I think that's probably like the only good card in this pack. Or the only great card in this pack, so I guess we'll have to go with that. Another Guild Globe. A New Horizons. A Chandra's Pyrohelix. New Horizons is nice. We do have 15 creatures already, so we're fine on creatures. Sure, grab a New Horizons. Bloomhulk, maybe. We have like 1+1/+1 counter card, so not a lot to combo with it, but it's still a 4-mana 4/4 in our most prevalent color. And nothing else looking that spicy here. Yep, Bloomhulk it is. Ooh, alright, 5-mana 6/5, most spicy card in this pack. Just a big dork. Big game-ending dork. And we're very much just like, we're cutting to clear the mines now. Now we're just like mono-green, splashing a little bit of everything. Which is what we considered it sometimes. Throw in a Pyrohelix. Vivien's Grizzly. I do like the activated ability on this when you're flooding out. Start digging for creatures from your top of your library. Yeah, I like Grizzly over the Pyrohelix since we're not doing the clear the mind thing. It's okay if we don't have a ton of removal. Well, probably not playing any of this. Mostly into red though, so we'll take Turd Ogre. As a secondary color, we're mostly into red. A little bit of white. But we can definitely cut out a blue. We just have to cut our Homunculus and that's it. Another Turd Ogre? Sure. Not going to play either of these. Or either of these. I don't think I'm playing Locket. I don't think I'm playing Acrobat. Probably not Homunculus. Only 2 more cards that we need to cut here. We'll take another look at what we've already cut. Looks like just a lot of sideboardy kind of stuff. Okay. Not a massive fan of this Flight of Equinauts. Axebane Beast is very filler, and we have a lot of 4-mana cards, though. We got a little bit of ramp going on. We have Circuitous Route, New Horizons, the Ceruli Caretaker. Flight of Equinauts looking a little bit okay here. I'll cut the Axebane Beast first. With Vivien's Arkbow as well, we want a lot of like high mana creatures. So that, like, because then this card, this is not really a 2-mana card. This is a card we play late game to get out of Flood. Anytime we're flooding out, now we get to dig X cards deep for any creature, basically, if we have enough mana. I guess theoretically we need 8 mana to be able to cast a Flight of Equinauts off of Vivien's Arkbow, but you know, if we have 5 or 6 mana, we're probably hitting any of these creatures anyway. So not actually a great combo with Arkbow, but I think Arkbow still works with our other stuff we have. So, I mean, we're mainly just Naya here. We could even just cut down and have a really simple mana base. If I don't want to play Mortify Death Sprout, I can cut those down and then throw the Axebane Stag back in, get rid of the black sources in the stack. At least Godless Shrine, we could keep the Rakdos Guildgate as a tapped mountain, Golgari Guildgate as a tapped forest to make Gatekeeper Gargoyle larger. I mean, we have 3 black sources in this deck for very little cost. Thanks to Godless Shrine, Rakdos Guildgate, Golgari Guildgate, because we're already playing, you know, red for the Rakdos Guildgate, green for the Golgari Guildgate, white on the Godless Shrine. So it takes very little effort for us to have 3 black sources in this deck and have a Mortify be really easy to cast, because then we have 3 black sources as well as Circuitous Route to pull one of these 2 Guildgates out, or one of these Guildgates for the white if we're missing the white, plus have a Guild Globe as well. So Mortify is a really, really simple splash. So we definitely, I think we put Godless Shrine back in, cut Axebane Beast, and definitely play Mortify. The only thing that's iffy is whether or not we play Death Sprout, because it costs double black. That's a harder sell. We would need 2 black sources out. So we would need 2 of the 3, or we'd need Caretaker, Guild Globe. New Horizons gets there by itself. Just Enchanted Land could tap for double black. Let's have a look again. If our removal is just bad, if we have a very low removal count, we'll throw it back in. Yeah, I mean, we only have 2 removal spells. We could play around with a Death Sprout and just accept that it's going to most likely be quite a late game card. Yeah, I think I will do that. I don't like that it throws 2 swamps in after we do that. We're going to have to, adjust our lands accordingly. I accidentally slammed my water bottle onto the keyboard. Did I accidentally cut something there? No. So we need to cut 1 card to do that. Probably should go ahead and cut our something expensive at this point, because we've got a lot of expensive stuff. These 2 6 or more Arkbow we are not really using till late in the game. These are 5. There's a lot of 4s. Could cut like a 1 of Turret Ogre. Sure. Alright. So let's sort the lands around, take a look at the mana base, get that all solved, but I think we'll call this a deck. Not the coolest 5-color deck ever. We just didn't see a lot of like super great bomby stuff in any of the other colors, because that was kind of the whole idea when you take a bunch of mana fixing really early, is that, well, now for a while in the draft we can just take the strongest card in each pack, and we were doing that for a while, but the strongest cards just weren't like big bombs or anything. They were just like efficient, aggressive cards and stuff like that that don't really work super hot in a 5-color deck. Okay, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white sources right now for our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white cards. Let's cut one of these planes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red cards as well. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red sources. Got a mountain. Although one of our red cards is a 2-mana card, so I'm okay with having one more red source than white source here, I think. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that seems good to me. On black, we do have 2 black cards, but one costs double black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 black sources. Cut down to 4, and then I just want to put a bunch of green in here because green is super important. So 7, 8, 9, 10 green sources. I don't think I would want less than 10 green sources in this deck. Because I just want a ton. Because our green sources hit Caretaker, they hit Root, they hit the vast majority of our cards. Yeah, it's really not the end of the world at all if we're stuck on any color that isn't green. All right. Well, let's get into some gameplay here. Try this deck out, see how it does. Not exactly where I wanted to end up with where we started this draft. Would have loved to see a Gatebreaker Ram, Gatekeeper, or I think it's Gatekeeper Colossus or Gates Ablaze in Pack 2. The huge gate payoffs there. Didn't see any of that. Or just some more powerful stuff in the third pack, but the third pack still went pretty well. I think the second pack was where things were not ideal for us. Alright, so we will keep this hand. We can cast our Portcullis Vine. We have our 2 biggest colors, green and red. And Circuitous Route as soon as we draw one more land. Of course, our Portcullis Vine can cycle itself as well, which is nice to help dig a little deeper in our deck. Just draw another card there. So opponent's doing a very similar thing here. Is it Guildgate Boros, Guildgate Forest into Aeromunculus here? Alright, we do have Cerulean Caretaker, so even if we don't draw our 4th mana, we can go ahead and cast our Circuitous Route. Alright, so opponent has established all 5 colors. We do not have reach, so we'll take 2 damage from Aeromunculus, down to 18. And an Elite Guard Mage, gain 3 life, draw a card, and a flyer. Very spicy card there. I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice the Portcullis Vine, see what we hit. Garrison Sergeant and Garrison Sergeant. Alright, then definitely no 4th land for us. We will have to Cerulean Caretaker to get some lands set up. I do want double black for Death Sprout, and I also want white for Garrison Sergeant. So ideally, if we had an Orzhov Guildgate, that'd be perfect. But we do not. We don't have a way to get double black and a white man at the same time. If we get double black, we have to get black-green and black-red land here. So I guess we just do that, because we can Death Sprout and grab the white source then, and if we don't play a Garrison Sergeant, we can still play a Turd Ogre, Bloom Hulk in the meantime. Taking 4 in the sky here from their 2 flyers. 5th land from our opponent, and a Mana Geode. Scry 1, and it taps for a mana of any color. Another Aeromunculus. So New Horizons is the draw. For 3 mana, I can make one of our lands able to produce 2. So we'd have 3 mana after we cast that. That's not enough to cast anything else. Unless I tap Caretaker and Beetle again, then I'd have 4, and I could do Bloom Hulk. But none of this solves our flying issue. Turret Ogre doesn't even get there. Turret Ogre blocks the Guard Mage at least. We need it to have 4 toughness to block the Aeromunculi, so I think we cast Turret Ogre so we don't take Elite Guard Mage damage this turn, and then next turn we plan to New Horizons to put a counter on it so it can block the Aeromunculuses as well. Yeah, that seems like a decent place to go. The one thing I don't like about this is I could cast New Horizons and Turret Ogre in the same turn, but the only way to do that is to cast New Horizons first, putting the counter on one of these two, which means I won't have the +1/+1 counter to make Turret Ogre a 5/4. Alright, mana geode from our opponent, scry 1 again. Scry 1 to the top it is. And get the point on the Turret Ogre so they can keep getting in there with the flyers. Just can't beat these flyers here. We have 1 removal spell for one of them. So we are taking 5 in the sky here. Simic Ascendancy from our opponent. They can spend 3 mana to put another +1/+1 counter on one of their cards. That is lethal right now. They have enough mana to put 2 counters on something. Oh, I guess not right now. We take 6 and go to 2. Got my even numbers mixed up. 6 is not 8. 6 is not lethal. The Dev Champion. The Lifelinkers don't have haste. Nothing we have has reach, so we are just going to get crushed by some flyers game 1. Pretty classic way to win some games of Limited. But a 5-color spin on it from our opponent there. Alright, so here we are in round 2. What have we opened up? Sketchy hand. We actually have 3 mana here, not just 2, because of Cerulean Caretaker. So we're only 1 land away from hitting Circuitous Route, and then we hit Death Sprout, and Death Sprout also grabs a land. Obviously, if we just hit Root, though, that's already all the mana we need all game, just grabbing 2 gates there. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and keep this. A little bit risky here. But we just need to draw into 1 land, and Portcullis Vine can sacrifice itself to draw a card, dig a little deeper for that land. So we should be fine, I think. And I'm going to go with the Caretaker turn 1, because then we get to flood out our hand really quickly. We get to drop down Caretaker turn 1, turn 2 cast the Vine, then tap the Vine for a mana to play the Arkbow as well. So just dump all this all on the board in 2 turns. And then just have these in hand. Waiting on mana. Alright, so our opponent did take a mulligan here, down to 6. They start with a mountain. Could Vivien's Arkbow for 0 if we want to just discard a card. But I don't want to discard a card for no value. So we did draw into our Ladev Champion for 3 mana. So we have a play next turn even if we don't hit a land. But we do hit a land, so this is definitely going to be a ramp play of some kind. I guess we're not really ramping into anything right now, are we? We have 2 ramp spells, but nothing that costs more than 3 in hand, so we actually might as well just play the champion here. So our opponent's on red and white. They've played a 2-mana 2/2 with no abilities. Turn 3 now. And Skewer the Critics on the Ladev Champion, just going to deal 3 damage to it, get it off the board. We no longer have any threats, but we have 0/3s to block the 2/2, so we have all the time in the world to draw into some. I'm going to do our circuitous route here now. We're going to take 2 damage when we do this, because all our creatures are going to be tapped, but we'll have some excellent mana going around here. So I think I want another green source here. We only have 1 green source, so I'll grab Gruul or Selesnya. We have 1 white source already. We don't need more than 1, so let's grab Golgari for sure. Oh, actually, we have 2 black sources. Our mana's just perfect here. It really doesn't matter. Let's just grab 2 Guild Gates, I guess. 2 green ones. All right. Gore Clan Wrecker from our opponent, 4 mana for a 2/2 Riot Menace. Their Riot trigger, they chose the +1/+1 counter rather than the haste, so a 3/3 Menace for 4. Solid stuff. Alright, draw for turn. We do hit a land, so I will be going for a Vivien's Arkbow here or a Death Sprout on the Wrecker. Either of those things I'll do at instant speed, though. I think I like the Death Sprout so that I can... Well, I guess our most expensive card in the deck is 8 mana. Even if we Death Sprout, we'll have 7 on the board unless I play this land here. I guess with Caretaker it would be 8. But yeah, Gore Clan Wrecker is not scary enough to need to be Death Sprouted. We have 2 0/3s that can make sure that we're blocking. Alright, so let's see what Arkbow hits here. Do it for 6 so that we don't tap these, so we can still block the Menace. 3/3 Double Strike. Pretty perfect. Beast Whisper is really good too, but I'm going to take the one that just gives me an immediate excellent block. So if they can't kill the Garrison Sergeant here, we block the Wrecker with a Garrison Sergeant and our Portcullis Vine, and then we kill the Wrecker in first strike damage. The block has been placed. Alright, so they do have Heartfire, sacrifice a creature to deal 4 to any target. They chose to sacrifice the 3/3 Menace to deal 4 to the Double Striker. Not sure why. They could have sacrificed the 2/2 instead. But they probably have something in hand, I guess, to return things from grave or something weird. I don't know. I do not know what they have in hand or deck. Alright, there's Nahiri, Storm of Stone, that can deal X damage to any tapped creature, where X is the amount of loyalty they remove from her. So not going to matter until we start attacking with stuff. So hopefully we just won't attack until we can kill Nahiri with our attack. Just letting our Vivien's Arkbow really take it here. We grabbed a Challenger Troll here. Good old 6/5, and now we drew a Chandra's Triumph to go ahead and kill the Feral Maka and keep our Death Sprout in hand. So now we get to just kill Nahiri and then start beating them up. Seems like a bunch of good stuff to me. Vivien's Arkbow, really the card of the game here, turning 2 of our land drops into 2 pretty impactful creature spells. And it's about to do that to a 3rd land we hit here. And our opponent is unfortunately just flooding out without a Vivien's Arkbow style card. Alright, easy Garrison Sergeant here. That'll be 12 damage. They're down to 2 life. Another land is another spin of the Arkbow. And another land for our opponent is very much lethal. Definitely flooded out over there. All right. So 1-1 now. We dropped a game to some flyers. Won a game against some just Boros stuff. The flooded out Boros deck, just a 2/2 with 3/3 menace, couple removal spells. That's all they cast. Alright, now I'll keep this hand. Guild Globe makes it so we can definitely cast whatever we draw into. I don't think it'll be casting the Garrison Sergeant, because that card's not going to be that impressive until we hit a gate anyway. But it is nice to have around. Opponent choosing their mulligan here still. Definitely like the curve of turn 3 Grizzly into turn 4 Bloom Hulk. Not the craziest curve ever, but being able to consistently play cards each turn is nice, and we have a 2, 3, and 4 drop. Actually, a 2, 3, 4, and 5 if we hit lands. Alright, well, opponent is on the play here. We are just simply waiting for them. Alright, Plains Charmed Stray it is. We'll see if they have duplicates. We do draw a Guild Gate turn 1, which is nice. We didn't have a turn 1 play anyway, so pretty easy to just slam down our tapped land there, and now we have the gate out for Garrison Sergeant to be a 5-mana 3/3 double strike. Turn 2 for our opponent. They show off a blue source and pass the turn. There's our Guild Globe. And Ledev Champion was our draw for the turn, so we have another great 3-drop. Probably playing the Grizzly first, just play a higher toughness thing, rather than the one with a stack of abilities on it. Ledev Champion, just a mana sink kind of card, greater later in the game. Alright, Plains Island Mountain it is from our opponent, and they play a Stealth Mission, putting 2 +1/+1 counters on that Charm Stray, making it a 3/3 lifelinker. Kind of down to just kill that, because a 3/3 lifelink is such a huge life point swing every turn, and all we can do is cast a 2/3 or a 2/2 that won't block a 3/3 profitably here. So we'll just kill the Charm Stray and pass the turn. Turn 4 from our opponent, and a Parhelion Patrol is the play. 2/3 Flying Vigilance Mentor. Mentor means when it attacks, they get to put a +1/+1 counter on one of their creatures with lower power. So I could get a +1/+1 counter out of Bloom Hulk later if I wait till Iron Shell Beetle's already done its thing. I think I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to cast the Grizzly here. The reason is that next turn we can cast Garrison Sergeant. Putting a couple +1/+1 counters on a Garrison Sergeant is just massive. So I kind of want to wait to play Iron Shell Beetle or Bloom Hulk till we have Garrison Sergeant out. Maybe it would be better to still just play Bloomhulk that turn and then just cast Iron Shell Beetle on the Garrison Sergeant, but now we have a New Horizons to cast on it too. They do have 5 mana up, and they've held back nothing here. Pretty suspicious. Pretty suspicious, if I do say so. Well, I think I'm just going to make them have it. Show me the counterspell here. Alright, no counterspell, but perhaps some removal. They have 4 cards in hand. 2 mountains, 2 plains, and an island. And an Azorius Guildgate. Alright, Parhelion Patrol just still getting in there, doing its thing. So now can cast New Horizons and Iron Shell Beetle this turn. Or I could cast Iron Shell Beetle, and that's it. I guess Iron Shell Beetle and New Horizons yet again. Well, they haven't shown the removal yet, so see if our Garrison Sergeant gets to stick around and just bash in as a 5/5 double striker. That would be awesome. Exact lethal on our Garrison Sergeant there. Deal 5 damage to an attacking creature, and we're just going to lose to some flyers again. Ooh, maybe not. Gatekeeper Gargoyle is the draw. Well, that'll be a 4/4 flyer, but they have a 4/3 flyer. We do have a Bloomhulk to proliferate onto it, so we can cast it now and then proliferate onto it next turn to make it a 5/5 flyer. Just another removal spell from our opponent. Take 6 down to 4 if we don't find an answer to a flyer. That'll do us in. That is 1 and 2 now. Just getting flown over for all of our losses today. Well, here we are in round 4. We're 1 and 2, so not off to a great start. If we do lose this round, this will be the worst that I've done in the Ravnica Mixer Drafts so far. That would be unfortunate. Although I don't think the power level of our draft pod was all that high, because I honestly think I just scooped up a lot of the strongest cards in the pod that I saw. Just one of the best decks we could have here. I'm actually going to play the Guildgate here instead of playing Arkbow, because Arkbow is not a card we're using until much later in the game, so I'd rather get the tapped land out of the way in case we draw like a swamp here for Mortify or something. New Horizons it is. Oh yeah, or any other turn 3 play. We would we'd want the untapped land for this turn. Alright, so Boros aggro here, Grim Initiate and Skyline Scout hitting us for 1 and 2 more respectively. We're down to 16 life, and they cast a Footlight Fiend, a very aggressive deck here. Multiple 1-drops and a 2-drop creature. Thanks to New Horizons, we have the mana to cast Circuitous Route or Mortify. We can Mortify the Scout and just take 2 damage from now on, or we could just set up our mana for now, take 4, go down to 12. I think I should just set up my mana here still. We already have the red source. We have the everything source with New Horizons. Let's go grab our green guild gates again, I think. Red, green, green, black here. Yeah, seems good to me. Taking 4 here down to 12. And a Tybalt's Rager from our opponent. That one has a very scary ability. 2 mana to give it +2/+0 until end of turn, so they can really pump it up for a lot of damage. So 6 mana here. Can play in 0/3 a 2/2 and Mortify something. Definitely worried about the Skyline Scout because they can give it flying. But I'm also worried about the Rager because they can throw a bunch of damage into it. But a boar is enough to trade with the Rager, although if they have removal, they will get us here. I think we go Mortify, Boar, and Caretaker. That's the most defensive line we can take. Burning Prophet, double white up, not enough to kill the boar. Alright, pass the turn. Okay. So we have 6 mana out, so we can start doing the Arkbow as soon as we hit more lands. We have 7 mana with Caretaker. If we tap one of our creatures, but I'm at 12 life facing 4 creatures from our opponent, they're all small. Is it worth tapping a creature with Caretaker to cast Troll and Arkbow without playing the Forest? Or the Garrison Sergeant and Arkbow without playing the Forest? It could be, so that we just have the Forest around to discard to the Arkbow. But I guess the thing we have to consider here is that it's not like we're discarding the Forest to the Arkbow next turn, we're just going to cast the Troll next turn, so it's going to be at least 2 turns before we start activating the Arkbow either way. I think I am going to play the Forest and play the Arkbow this turn. Because next turn, if I don't cast the Arkbow now, then next turn we'll just have the same issue where I'm spending 5 mana and having 1 mana up unless I use Caretaker. Alright, I'm glad that I left all my creatures untapped because now, thanks to Angrath, all of their creatures have Menace. And they get to amass a zombie army. It is currently a 2/2 zombie army. Yeah, this is very threatening. Giving their board Menace here. We can only block one of their creatures. They don't have the mana to buff the Rager right now, so the most damage to stop would be stopping the Burning Prophet. Take 3 here. Alright, draw. We hit a Portcullis Vine. I think I'd rather discard that to the Arkbow than play it. Because if we play it, we'll have 5 creatures on board. An odd amount of creatures doesn't help us block, because 4 creatures can block 2 of theirs. But... oh, actually, you know what I could do? Challenger Troll is going to give Territorial Boar +1/+1 and Vigilance. Right, and then if I attack Angrath with both the Boar and the Sergeant, their creatures won't have Menace anymore, and I'll still have a 6/5 and a 2/2 to block with, even if I can't block with the Double Striker. Alternatively, I could just attack Angrath with the Boar, then they block with the 2/2, and then just replace it with Angrath next turn. That seems less good. Yeah, I still have a 2/2 and a 6/5 to block here. I can actually just kill Angrath, and then we don't have to worry about Menace anymore. But do still have to worry about the fact that they have 4 creatures. So now I could consider casting the Vine so that we still have 4 creatures to block with against their 4 creatures, but we are at 9 life. We can let 1 damage in from a Grim Initiate. Even if they kill one of our creatures, we can let like 2 damage in from those 2. Still have Boar trade with Rager. That blocked the 2/2. Yeah, I think I'm saving Portcullis Vine to discard it to Vivien's Arkbow. Alright, hello Gideon. A 4/4 that's just can't be dealt damage, and they get to give one of their creatures Vigilance, Lifelink, or Indestructible every turn.
I believe in you.
And they just give the Footlight Fiend Indestructible. Alright, well. If they get this up to 6 loyalty for a -6, they can exile one of our permanents, so that's just a massive deal. They can just exile our Arkbow. Or our Challenger Troll, or just anything. Alright, so they can't double block because of Challenger Troll. All of their creatures are these little dorky, just small creatures. They can buff Rager for +2 power and make it 3, but it would still die to first strike. It wouldn't kill the troll. It would deal 3, and then it would deal 1 more when it dies. We could attack Gideon with both of these. I think it is really important to kill Gideon. We can still play a Portcullis Vine and a 5-drop afterward if we're scared, which I think we will be. I'm always scared. Okay, so they block with their smallest creatures. Grim Initiate turns their zombie army into a 3/3 because it amasses when it dies. And Footlight Fiend, I'm assuming, does 1 damage to my face. It does. I go down to 8. Alright, so now they have a 3/3 and a Rager. We have 3 blockers. We have Caretaker, Boar, and whatever we hit with Arkbow, so I think I'm cool to pass here. I forgot they have Black Blade as well, but I think I'm still cool to pass here and save Vine. He has another creature off the top. Right, give the Rager like a lifelink here or something. No, give it indestructible. Oh, because they give it indestructible and they can just buff it up as much as they need to kill whatever blocks it. Or they just don't attack with it. Alright. So let's see what the Arkbow... Oh yeah, we have 7 mana now, not 6. Keep miscounting. But we have 7 mana because we played that extra mana after the troll to play the Arkbow. Okay. Bloom Hulk? Do we have any counters on stuff? No. The Dev Champion has a good ability. Turret Ogre can block flyers. If they play any flyers, that'll be good. I want something bigger than a 3/3. I think I want a 4/4 badly enough. I just grab the Proliferator and block the 3/3 here. Yeah, and Gideon, we just can't mess with Gideon. Gideon just constantly attacks as a 4/4 and there's nothing we can do about it. So we might just trump block with Caretaker at this point. Don't think I can afford the damage. Deafening Clarion. That explains the indestructible on the Rager. Just wipe the rest of our board. We have just the Challenger Troll. They have just Tybalt's Rager and Gideon. We attack Gideon and they either lose Gideon or the Rager. That'll get the Rager killed here, which is nice. Cool. One damage to our face. So now they have just a Gideon here. And I am going to want to chump block because it's going to deal 4 damage to us, and no matter how big our creature is, we won't be able to kill it. Do we have any creatures left in our deck that are big enough to block it without dying? Flight of Equinaughts, but that costs 8. We don't have 8 mana. Gatekeeper Gargoyle would. That's it. There's 1 creature left in our deck that blocks it without dying. So the odds of hitting that off of the Arkbow here are like really low, I think. So I think I play Portcullis Vine to chump block Gideon. And then just like discard Grizzly for something out of the top 6 here. And then obviously if the Arkbow hits like the Gatekeeper Gargoyle, then we'll just block with that. But if it doesn't, now we can still block Gideon here and go to 3.
Prepare for battle.
Alright, Pouncing Lynx is the play. Gideon's at 7 now, so Gideon's at enough to use the -6 and still survive next turn. So we have to be prepared for that to get rid of one of our blockers. We hit Beast Whisperer, Tybalt's Rager, Iron Shell Beetle. Tybalt's Rager is nice. We block Gideon, kill the Lynx here. Beast Whisper is cool to like be able to draw cards when we're casting creatures, but anything we draw, we're just going to discard it to the Arkbow pretty much anyway. So it's not like we're going to cast creature spells. Yeah, I like the Rager line. Kill the links here. Direct Current, 2 damage to us. We're down to 5. They can do 2 more damage to us if they do that again. They exile one of our cards with Gideon's -6 at sorcery speed. Oh yeah, we can just hit Gideon for 6 because they don't have a creature anymore, so Gideon is not exiling anything.
I've fought worse.
But Gideon is still attacking us. We'll dig 7 cards deep now, just trying to find Gatekeeper Gargoyle. There it is. They can direct current it, but it'll still have 1 toughness after that, so they need to direct current it and have another damage spell in their hand, which I don't think they will. But now we just attack Gideon, and Gideon's gone.
Your light will cleave the darkness.
Cool. Guild Globe to draw a card. Actually, it's just better to dig through the top cards. Pretty much guaranteed to hit a creature for digging 7 cards deep, so we can attack pretty freely.
Curse the darkness.
Light of the Legion. 5/5 flyer. When it dies, put a +1/+1 counter on each white creature they control. Alright, well I have a 7/7 flyer to deal with that, so I think we're safe from that too. Ledev champions, start getting some lifelinkers onto this board. Reach creature makes me feel pretty safe. These are both reach, but I don't know, creating lifelinkers is also very nice. You know what, sure, Turret Ogre. Because, yeah, I think, again, I'm still, literally anything I draw, I'm just spending 7 and just cycling it into a better card. Alright, they're down to 6 now. They can kill our Gatekeeper Gargoyle if they attack us with Light of the Legion. I block with it, and then they also direct current it. But we'll still have more than enough to close the game out here, I think. I think we do that. Alright, and they have conceded. I'm guessing they just don't have another creature in hand to block all this stuff. Even if they can kill that Gatekeeper Gargoyle with the direct current. So we are 2-2 now with the 4-color mono green. Only 1 win away from getting an average run again. All in all, Ravnica Mixer Drafts, they've gone pretty well. We haven't gone below a 3-3, so a positive win rate. I think even if I 2-3 this one. So not bad. Plus we've been able to play just using all the draft tokens from the Innistrad draft challenges earlier in the month. So we're doing pretty alright in the grand scheme of things in the big old numbers game. That is, how expensive is Arena being to us right now? The answer is not that bad. Kind of going even. Alright, well. If our opponent's on a pretty slow pretty slow hand, which it looks like they are. Our hand plays pretty well here. We have the time to just set some stuff up, circuitous route to get some more gates before we cast the Gatekeeper Gargoyle, and then just have a giant flyer. Probably just gets killed by some kind of removal, but we'll have a great mana base for anything we draw into. See what they have turn 4 here. They have a Swamp, Plains, Island, and Gateway Plaza, so really the world is their oyster. Circuitous Route. Does it resolve, blue player? It does. Our mana base is just incredible right now, so I really don't think it matters particularly much. We've got 2 white sources though, so let's not grab the red-white or the green-white there. Actually have 3 white sources, which is insane. Alright, so Sphinx's Insight was the play there, just 4 mana, draw 2. Turn 5 now. And there's a 0% chance they do not have removal in their hand at this point. So our Gatekeeper Gargoyle just going to get shredded. They did tap out for an Ashiok Skulker, so I guess the mildest chance for our Gatekeeper Gargoyle to survive until their untap step, and then they kill it. You know, honestly, I think I'm just going to Death Sprout the Skulker here, so I can keep getting in with this boar, and maybe make this boar enough of a threat that they have to just blow it up with one of their removal spells to make it more likely the Gargoyle actually sticks around. We also thin our deck a little bit there with Death Sprout, pull another land out of it, so we're less likely to draw more, because we are definitely doing mighty good here on mana with that Circuitous Route having been cast, the Death Sprout having been cast. We've got 10 lands pulled out of our deck. Alright, now we draw a big old Flight of Equinaughts. Well, a 2/5 Azorius Night Arbiter, Vigilance can't be blocked. That is more than a good enough blocker to stop our Territorial Boar. But we have the mana to cast anything in our deck now, so we'll cast our Flight of Equinaughts first, because it still kills them in 3 attacks if they don't have removal, and if they do have removal, then that draws it out so the Gatekeeper Gargoyle can survive. Keeping these lands in our hand if we draw our Vivien's Arkbow. Because we've seen how powerful that card has been, and I think every game we've won, we've used Vivien's Arkbow. Alright, Sphinx's Insight from our opponent during the main phase so they can gain the life when they cast it as well. And Dimir Informant here, surveilling, so they're digging for the removal, don't have the immediate solution to the Flight of Equinaughts here. If they surveil any to the top, alright, I was going to say if they surveil any to the top, I expect they have the removal, but just send them both into the graveyard. So, no removal to deal with our stuff here. So, yeah, we're just gonna get in. We have lethal flying damage on the board next turn. That's crazy that they're blue, white, and black, but did not have the immediate removal. So had we just run out the Gatekeeper Gargoyle, we would have hit them for 7 instead of 4 there. So they would be at 7 life here. Right, Muse Drake is the play. A 1/3 flyer that draws them a card when they play it, and a Carrion Imp as well. So they've got the flyers now to go ahead and block ours, but they only have 3 power total on their flyers, so they can't block profitably. They can only chump, basically. Alright, well, we get to go off with Grizzly. See, any creatures on top of our library will be thrown into our hand here. Alright, well, Grappling Sundew, not all that exciting. Honestly, I'm just going to spin the wheel on the Grizzly again. Arkbow, uh-oh. Well, you know, Sometimes you really lose the coin flip. If we see Vivien's Arkbow with Grizzly, it does just automatically put it on bottom of our library. That would have been a great draw, but with this much mana with Grizzly's ability, we can do a functionally similar thing, still digging for all our creatures. But yeah, that would have been an excellent draw for us. I think it's still correct to just shove the mana into the Grizzly there, because you gotta think, sure, we have a Vivien's Arkbow we could draw, but we have like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We still have like 11, 12 creatures left in the deck, so we're like 12 times more likely to hit a creature than the Arkbow, even though it is bad if we hit the Arkbow. It's great if we hit any of the tons of creatures left in the deck. So our opponent's down to 7 now. Another Dimir Informant on the board to block on the ground. They mill both cards. Just a little creature in a plains. One of our flyers is probably getting through this turn. Both of our flyers get through, maybe? Chandra's Triumph for the game. If they don't have instant speed removal at this point, that's 11 damage in the sky. It's a Devious Cover-Up. They do have Gateway Plaza for the second blue for that. Alright, Devious Cover-Up it is, but that means that they are tapped out. That means guaranteed we kill Carrying Imp and put them to 3 life off of this attack. So still a pretty great turn for us overall, even if we don't win on the spot. Alright, Grizzly, what do we have? Forest? Nope. Garrison Sergeant. Sure, I'll take it. And with Grizzly on the board, we're actually just going to keep dumping lands out, because we know our Arkbow's on bottom of our library, so it's going to be forever till we hit that. We're already going to have dug all our creatures out with the Grizzly, so we just need the mana to throw it all into Grizzly's effect. Alright, and our opponent did scoop them up there, so 3 wins now. An even run, an average run for the 4-color green deck here. As we head into round 6, 3 and 2. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that, making a decent comeback here. Actually beat our opponent in a very similar way to how we lost our 2 rounds, so maybe a little bit of Magic Arena karma there. Just get demolished by some flyers in our 2 losses so far, and then just demolish our opponent with some big old flyers while they had a board full of great blockers on the ground. I think I keep this even though I don't have red. We get the red from the root as soon as we hit 1 more land. Ooh, Death Sprout, we're only 1 black mana away from playing around with that. Pretty spicy. If we need the Godless Shrine untapped, we can just pay the life on a later turn. We don't need to play it right now. Liliana's Triumph, going to make us sacrifice our 2/2. Alright, we do need the Godless Shrine untapped. We're going to play Ledev Champion here. Alright, 2 Swamps and a Gateway Plaza from our opponent. Turn 4, we do hit the 4th mana, so we can cast our Circuitous Route, get the next black mana we need for Death Sprout, and get 2 more gates for our Gatekeeper Gargoyle. Very nice. So we need another black for Death Sprout, and we need a red for Turd Ogre, so definitely Rakdos Guild Gates. We have 3 green already, double white. Now we'll have double black and 1 red. Mana's basically perfect here, so the other land just gets some kind of gate. I guess we'll go Golgari, get even more black mana. Make sure we super have that base covered. Alright. So definitely hit for 2 before we do anything else, because I'm probably casting a Gatekeeper Gargoyle here, although I do have to be worried about the fact that my opponent is blue and black with 4 mana up. They could have a Devious cover-up of their own here. I guess we could Guild Globe Turret Ogre here, play around it. Yeah, I mean, you pass the turn with 4 open mana, you're holding something at instant speed. Sure, it might not be a counterspell, but if it's not a counterspell, it's probably just removal. Alright, Turret Ogre resolves. And there it is. I guess it's just temporary removal, just a bounce spell. But drawing a card and playing a creature is better than just playing a creature, so it still pans out well. Still pans out as a marginally better line than the Gatekeeper Gargoyle. Alright, so they have no mana for a counterspell here, so we could go ahead and just kill Storev. And still have 2 mana up, so we can play our Caretaker if nothing else, and then attack with Champion for 3. I'll take it. Now I am going to start holding this land in my hand because I have more than enough mana for everything. Again. In case we hit that longbow. We do have a mana sink on Ledev Champion, but we're not going to make it to 10 mana to use that twice. We do hit the Vivien's Arkbow. I called it the wrong name, and I apologize to the Arkbow for that. Alright, so they're tapped out, so we know they can't counter the Gargoyle. They could still have removal for it, but I guess we'll find out. We'll find out next turn. We'll get that Arkbow down as well while they don't have counter mana. So even if they kill the Gargoyle, we just start using the Arkbow. Scuttlegator is an issue. It's a 6/6 defender, but if they adapt it, it's a 9/9. Period. It doesn't have defender anymore. Alright, so band together. Exactly 6 damage to the Gargoyle. So there's the removal. That'll do it. Actually, Scuttlegator isn't that scary for us because we can just make 1/1 lifelinkers and chump block it all day. It doesn't have trample or anything. Requires 8 mana to adapt, 2 blue and 6 more. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they play 1 more land, they can adapt the Scuttlegator. Oh. 6, 7. I guess we can always either make a 1/1 or use Arkbow at instant speed, so we can just decide later what we want to do there. We do have a Caretaker to chump block with if we need to. If they dump all of their mana into... Okay, well, this is really bad. I was going to say, if they dump all their mana into Scuttlegator and then attack us, it's actually probably good for us, because then Arkbow could find a way to get lethal towards them, or close to it. Gate Colossus is terrible for us. We can't chump block this thing. This is an 8/8 that can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So that is horrifying. So 8 mana we can... Oops. 8 mana we can cast any creature in our deck, including Flight of Equinaughts. Alright. None of these have flying, so none of these are really going to attack in. So what's the best blocker? A double striking Garrison Sergeant or a 6/5 Challenger Troll? Or a Tybalt's Rager, because we could dump some mana into that. I think it's just the 6/5, right? I think it's just the 6/5 here. So we need to have another creature on the board with more than 2 power to be able to double block and kill Gate Colossus. Turret Ogre fills that role, but then we'll have 8 toughness blocking the 8/8 and we'll lose both creatures. We can probably take the card advantage hit because we have Vivien's Arkbow, so I think just for a guaranteed blocker, we should run out Turret Ogre here. Doesn't feel great, but I think we should do it. Grappling Sundew can block Scuttlegator all game, but for the same amount of mana we can chump block with a 1/1 lifelinker. So I'm actually going to play this land and be okay discarding the Sundew to Arkbow if we need to do that, and if we don't, obviously we spend the 5 mana on making a 1/1 with Ledev Champion. Alright, Rampaging Monument, random little Trampler. They do attack with Gate Colossus. So if they're going to attack with Gate Colossus, I think we dig and see what we hit here. If we can hit something with 4 toughness, that's great. Then we can double block and lose 1 creature instead of 2. Three toughness, 3 toughness, 3 toughness. All right. Get a Beast Whisperer out. So if we draw any creatures, we're drawing cards. Because Grizzly's not good when we have Arkbow out anyway. And Vine is just insignificant. I guess we could double block with these two. And then we still have a 4/3 to trade with Monument. Arkbow, is that correct? I still don't think so. Fingers crossed they don't just immediately have another gate for the Gate Colossus here. So I think we take this trade on blocks because we do have to consider how well we could crack back, but we can't crack back well here even with Challenger Troll because like that blocks there. Hit for a couple. Oh no, they just have a sick combat trick here. Alright. At least we draw a card from Beast Whisperer. Hit New Horizons. Put a +1/+1 counter on something. I think we're holding it in hand to discard it to Arkbow. We only have 4 mana towards the Arkbow here. So we might not hit something. We only have 5 creatures that are cheap enough to hit out of 4. We're digging 4 cards deep in a 17 card deck. And 5 of those cards are active. We could get there. All right, well, 1 card left in their hand. If they get too aggressive here, definitely consider the potential for lethal. All right, well, that is certainly aggressive. Is that too aggressive? I don't know. They're going to have 1 blocker, so they can block there, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at least. If we hit like 5 power worth of stuff, New Horizons can find lethal. Because New Horizons plus make another creature with champion. I'm going to spin the wheel here. We do hit a creature. So, if we take 17, we go to 1 life. At 1 life, Rampaging Monument blocks Challenger Troll. But we deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from New Horizons, 9 from making another 1/1. We don't kill them. So we can't crack back for lethal. Oh, this can't be blocked by the creature's power 2 or less. We can't actually double block to kill the Gate Colossus. We could triple block to kill the Scuttlegator and only lose 2 creatures. At least. Yeah, but we are taking 8 here. Alright, well. Oh, this Gate Colossus is really going to shred us here. I guess unless we just go to 1 life, keep all these creatures around, and then we can throw a counter onto one of them. Whatever, let's go to 1. 1 life heroes. Mortify is the draw. Mortify kills their 1 blocker. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well over lethal. Mortify off the top one time. Let's go. Oh my god. Pure skill in the end of that game. Unadulterated skill running through my veins. Wow, that was... I mean, that was the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow there. That was insane. What a draw. Well, 4 and 3 it is. That means we are getting 1,400 gems back out of this 1,500 gem event. Pretty much breaking even here. Getting to play some more Magic for free, which is always where I'm at. So, whatever happens now, I can be nice and happy. That was a crazy round there, with quite the finish. Definite keep here. We've got the red source for these nice early game red plays. Our opponent starts with a Plains. Ooh, our opponent with a flavorful Plains there. These could be some Ravnican Boros soldiers or something. Yeah, they definitely picked their lands. They did not let the auto suggester do that. Alright, well, goodbye, Tybalt's Rager. Our turn 2 play has been killed by their 2-mana removal. Ministrant of Obligation. This card's pretty great. 2-1 for 3, but when it dies, they spit out 2 1/1 flyers. Luckily, we do just have like a 0-3 to sit here and block that without killing it, so we can soak up all of its damage, and that will be the plan. Alright, and a Turret Ogre, 4-3 reach. It's fine, we can kill that with Chandra's Triumph. That's probably the plan to deal with that. Yeah, that's probably the best thing this is going to kill, only 3 damage. Slow them down here, just get rid of it right now. Before they have mana available for combat tricks. Green, red, and white, it looks like. And a Krenko Tin Street Kingpin. Well, that is going to make me regret my life decisions. That will attack as a 2-3 the first time it attacks, so I can't kill it on blocks. And every time it attacks, it gets even bigger and spits out a bunch of goblins. So it gets a +1/+1 counter and spits out a 1/1 goblin every time it attacks. So a 2-3 that makes a 1/1, then a 3-4 that makes 2 of them. Oh, wait, no. The first time it attacks, it makes 2. The second time, it makes 3 because it makes them equal to its power. Good lord. All right, well, Krenko is a bad time for us. But a Challenger Troll is going to be more than big enough to block it and kill it. Next turn, we just can't block it right now. They get to get some... They get to get some little 1/1s here. Chain Whip Cyclops. A great follow-up to that to shut off our Challenger Troll's ability to block. 4 mana to make it so target creature can't block this turn. I mean, that will get them there. Shut off Challenger Troll's ability to block. Still snowball up the Krenko's effect here. Just run all in on the Krenko. Looks like we are going to lose this game to triumphing the 4-3. Oops. We do have other removal in the deck. We have like Mortify and stuff, so we could still draw out of this one, but it is not looking great here. Conclave Tribunal. They can exile the Challenger Troll as well. Alright, well, Mortify the Krenko. Still in a bad spot. Still getting slapped by that Cyclops and all those little 1/1s hanging about. Oh, you know what? I should have waited on that. In case they misplayed, if they decided to do anything in their main phase. Because if they attacked without holding all their mana up, I could have blown up Tribunal, spit out the Troll, and then blocked Krenko with the Troll there. But they didn't do that here, so I don't think they would have done that. So we would have ended up mortifying the Krenko anyway. And by waiting till attacks, I guess they would have gotten a bunch more goblins. So it's either way, really. It panned out well, but I don't know if it was 100% correct. Oh no. Oh no. -3, grab 2 creatures from the top 4 cards of the library, put them into their hand. It's like a divination in green. +1. +1 doesn't really do anything, but this just sits there, draws them more creatures. It's going to be a bad time for us. I mean, I guess they can also go for the ultimate and just find a guaranteed way to kill us. Start getting 4/4s every end step.
Oh, you're gonna hurt when this is through.
Things are not looking ideal here. Is it to the point where I crack the vine instead of blocking the obligation with it? I don't think so. I'm like so close to dying here, and it's not like we can hit a board wipe. 3, 4, 6, 7. We only have to tap 1 creature for this. Fortunately, they can shut that off. Yeah, no, I don't think we're getting out of this one. Big misplay, shooting the 4/3. Should have saved it just in case of something scarier like a Krenko. The grand scheme of things, though, our opponent's deck is phenomenal, and they have certainly earned this win. Not sure that earlier line could have changed much once we got to this point in the game. Sure, they wouldn't have all these 1/1s about, but they'd still have that Domri, the Tribunal on our best card. Certainly would not be having a great time. That's exact lethal if I block like that, so I can't block like that. I have to chump block the Chain Whip Cyclops and go to 1. 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 5. Yep. Go to 1 it is. Well, circuitous route too late for us here. If we can quintuple our Flight of Equinauts power, we can get there, but we cannot do that. Only 1 Guild Gate left in the deck. We drew some great mana that game, but our opponent had some spicy cards for quite the spicy. Just like Boros aggro splashing in the Domri there. Just saw the 1 green source, the 1 green card. So that is going to end the draft here, 4 and 3. Oh, good lord, Resurgence. Response Resurgence in this deck as well, as they get 2 combat steps this turn if they want them. It looks like they do. So 4 and 3 here with the mono green 4 color. All in all, a solid, pretty standard draft here. Took a bunch of green cards, some green fixing and stuff. Had all of the mana we needed to splash pretty much anything, just didn't find a lot of great splashable stuff, so we're still just primarily a green deck here. Our top cards really just being, honestly, our green stuff, just like Vivien's Arkbow being probably the best card in the deck that just did a lot of work. Gatekeeper Gargoyle, Challenger Troll were pretty huge too, but yeah. Pretty basic deck this time around. We did go for a multicolored thing, but it didn't go too crazy this round. Nice little 4 and 3 to top things off. So that is going to end today's video. But as always, if you're interested in seeing more drafts and more videos like this, you can always stick around on the channel, like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to let the YouTube algorithm know to send more of these videos into your notification feeds. And just thank you all for watching. I'll be back again with more Magic Arena very soon.